adjourn this one. You gotta put him up there.
I'll make sure he does too.
Well, if every meeting was like this, you'd be blessed.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
We would have a good money and power.
that's it. That is it. Let's do this.
Do that still, right?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 22nd budget work session of the Zebulon Board of Commissioners. This meeting is now called to order. Before we approve the agenda, Commissioner Davis is going to give us an invocation. Commissioner Davis?
We take a moment. You rise with me. I want to first welcome everybody here. I've never seen a house so packed, so thank you so much. It shows how much you really appreciate and value this town, and we are going to come together in unity. So if you can take a moment, bow. God, we come before and we just give you thanks and praise. We thank you for this day. God, I thank you for every person that is in this room. I thank you for every commissioner, every staff, and every citizen. God, I ask that you unify this place, that your grace be here, that your mercy be with us, Father God. Let us recognize the love that we each have for this town, and that if we come together collectively, we can move forward and do great things. So God, I thank you in advance for what you are doing, what you have done. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. My bad. Let's go with it. Good evening again. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we begin tonight's meeting, I would like to take a moment to set the tone for how we will conduct ourselves this evening. As elected officials, staff, and community members, we all share a responsibility to ensure these meetings remain respectful, productive, and centered on serving the people of our town. We recognize that there may be differing opinions, passionate perspectives, and difficult conversations. But we ask that all comments and interactions be made with professionalism, courtesy, and civility. To the public, thank you for your engagement and participation in local government. Your voice matters. And we ask that speakers remain respectful, follow the established time limits, and direct comments to the board as a whole rather than to individuals personally. To my fellow board members, I ask that we continue to lead by example, listening intentionally, speaking thoughtfully, and treating one another, staff, and residents with dignity and respect, even in disagreement. You listen. Healthy discussion strengthens our community when it is rooted in mutual respect and a shared commitment to progress. We are all here because we care deeply about this town and its future. Let us conduct tonight's meeting in a way that reflects the values of the Zebulon community and the trust our residents have placed in us. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
We have, all right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion about the consent agenda? All right, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Old business, fiscal year 26-27 budget public hearing. Manager Crosby, the floor is yours to present your information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, public, community, staff. Thank you for being here tonight. I have Never seen a packed house like this before, but I do appreciate you all being here because that shows a commitment to our community. I just want to go over some highlights based on the feedback that I received from the board since our last budget discussion. You'll notice that we were able to reduce the budget from $28.5 million to right under $28 million. We've kept the tax rate the same. I do want to highlight this $2.53 million are projects that the board appropriated in FY26. These projects are in process, but in order for the staff to move forward with those projects, we need to reappropriate them in FY27. So you will see that the total authority that I'm requesting is $30.5 million. Again, the original budget is down by $27.99 million. This $2.5 million is money that we've already appropriated from projects in FY26. We just need to move the money into FY27. Secondly, on the next, I don't have the clicker. Do you have the clicker? I'll just say next slide. You'll also see the base budget expenditures. So personnel, of course, is our highest expenditure at 58%, operations at 30%, and then capital at 12%. What changed from the original budget book? So initially, the FY27 base budget was 28.36. We've updated it to 27.99. Our operating revenues also increased. You'll see they went from 22.45 to 22.83. We've had an increase, we have an increase in property tax, sales tax, and utility sales tax. And I believe we're up by 13%. Is that correct, Bobby? We're up by 13%. So we were able to look at our anticipated year-end numbers. Secondly, our capital budget reduced from $3.5 million to $3.3 million. And then our appropriated fund balance was previously $25,862, and it's now $1.85 million. I do want to explain that $1.85 million. That $1.85 million actually is the $2.25 million that we had allocated from the capital projects that we previously or that we are no longer moving those projects forward. So this is not an increase in an appropriation. It is just that money went back to fund balance, and we're reclassifying it in the budget book as fund balance appropriation. So I just want to make sure that you all understand that. Any questions on that from the board? Okay.
Board, Commissioner Baxter, Adams, Davis. All right. Roa?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No.
Thank you.
And then you'll see the funding in the next slide. Again, just an overview. Our operating revenues at 22.83, so that's an increase from when we met last week. That's based on our anticipated year-end numbers. The capital funding source is $3.3 million, and then the fund balance appropriation is based on us returning those $2.2 million in capital projects back to the fund balance and only using $1.86 million. So that allowed us to increase the or reduce the budget by the amount that we spoke to earlier. The next slide provides an overview of our capital program and the different funding sources for our capital program. We are using 1.89 in dedicated property tax, and then the remaining is coming from restricted or committed funds in our fund balance. And then just as a reminder, when I talk about the restricted funds in our fund balance, that's essentially, or not just restricted funds, but it's our POW bill, which are specifically for street resurfacing, recreation impact reserve fees that have been allocated specifically for recreation, our motor vehicle tag fee, and our fleet improvements. So I apologize, I said fund balance, but those are restricted funds. And then these are the list of projects that we are carrying over from FY26 into 27, asking for the board to reappropriate with the FY27 budget. And then the last slide, slide 8, is a list of the changes we made to reduce the budget. So that included reducing board salaries, as well as strategic planning and travel. We did add money to the board's budget $10,000 for public records requests. As you know, we've had a significant uptick in public records requests, and so we need a better system to manage those requests. We've reduced the finance budget by $50,000, which was the budget software. We have added additional resources for internal controls audit and professional services for communications in the admin budget. We've reduced the public works capital by $81,700. The fire capital request by $87,200. We are expecting that to be replaced by funds from Wake County. Reduce the parks and recreation budget as requested. That includes the parade, fireworks, and the fleet equipment capital package. I do want to point out that the budget ordinance had a miscalculation in the math, and so it's short, I believe, $55,000, Sheila? Oh, she may be in the other room. And then we also reduced the economic development home infrastructure grant as requested by $50,000. There are also resources from Wake County for that program as well. So this evening's board action is to open and hold the public hearing, to receive public comment and board discussion, and then consider adopting the FY 26-27 budget ordinance and fee schedule. We recognize that this is a final budget as a stabilization budget and a readiness budget. Any questions?
Thank you, Manager Crosby. Questions from the board? Commissioner Baxter? No. Commissioner Adams? Davis? Roa?
Yes, ma'am. The communications budget that you added for the $50,000, that firm, from the proposal that you said, charges $300 to $400 an hour. Mm-hmm. That seems like a lot just to help process, public records requests. Is there not a different firm that we could go that could maybe half that price?
Well, the firm is not just for public records requests. The additional capacity is because the public records request has taken up a significant amount of capacity in our communications team, which is a one-person team. But that firm is also there to support us in our economic development communication strategy, as well as our communication strategy around the strategic plan, and then in general, the communication strategy around all of the positive things that our team is doing. So I think that this firm is a qualified firm that other partners have used around the county, and that's why we're recommending going forward with that firm.
And their retainers, which retainer are we going to be using?
The 15 hours.
Mm-hmm. Sam?
No question this time, ma'am.
And so before we open the public hearing, Manager Crosby, I just want to ask you to make some things clear. What is our fund balance moving into the 26-27 fiscal year?
So we'll be closing out the fund balance for FY 26 at 11,000. I don't know the exact number. Do you have it in front of you, Bobby?
I think it was about 11,325,000 roughly, I believe it was.
Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. And as far as the next year, can you speak to our fund balance policy and where we are with that?
Yes, so with the 11.3 million, I don't know the exact percentage for that. I do want to clarify some things with the fund balance. The 11.3 million includes the 2.5 million that we are reappropriating for FY 26. Without those projects, we would be at 31%.
And that is above our fund balance policy.
That's above our fund balance policy.
So we will not need to sign a waiver because we are needing to be under our fund balance. So we are actually over our fund balance.
Yes, and that language has been removed from the budget ordinance.
That is wonderful. Thank you all so much for your hard work in doing that. And then as far as the financial deficit, if I will use that word, can you speak to that and where we are with that right now and just in very simple terms?
We do have a gap, a structural gap of $1.8 million. We have been able to get that down. And then in August, we will be coming back to the board. We are in the process of working through a 3 to 5 year forecast to give you all a better understanding of where we are over the next 3 to 5 years. And then we'll have further discussion about what that means for the FY 28 budget in September.
Thank you, Manager Crosby. So when we first got our budget book, we were at a 25% or lower fund balance, which was beneath our fund balance policy. Now we are over that fund balance policy, which we are not violating that policy anymore, and our deficit has gone down from that original 1.8.
Down from the original 2.4 million
Yes.
through budget cuts. And yes, we are over the fund balance after we looked at year-end numbers and calculated that into the budget, which we had not originally done. That showed that we would be over the fund balance.
Thank you. Anything else, Board? Thank you. Thank you, Manager Crosby. All right. We will prepare for budget public hearing. Before I open the budget public hearing, I will provide instructions regarding the purpose and process for how the public hearing will be conducted. First, the budget public hearing is the opportunity for the public to express their thoughts, ideas, concerns, and opinions to the Board of Commissioners regarding the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget. The Board of Commissioners will not engage in dialogue during the public hearing. Second, during the public hearing, I will provide an opportunity for the community to address the board. If you wish to speak in favor of the proposed budget, in opposition to the proposed budget, or neither in favor nor in opposition to the proposed budget, you may come forward when I announce that category that applies to your intended comments. If we have more people present than our room capacity will allow, some of you may need to wait outside in the hallway or head to the first floor lobby where we have a TV broadcasting the live stream. I will ask that there will be no applause and that our council chambers stays in order, decent and in order and respectable for everyone in the room. When you come forward, I ask that you form a line behind the podium to my left. Is this my left, Jeremy? Okay. To my left, and that you give the person speaking some room to stand freely at the podium. If you are not addressing the board, we ask that you remain quiet so that everyone can hear the speaker. When it's your turn to address the board, please come to the podium and tell us your name. When you begin, please speak into the microphone. You'll have 3 minutes to share your comments. You will have a timer that will be shown here on the screen so that you can see how much time you have left to speak. When the alarm rings or the time runs out, when the alarm rings or the time runs out, that means your time has expired, and we ask that you step aside so the next speaker can come to the podium. If we have a full boardroom and people are waiting outside for their turn to address the board, we may have to ask some of you to step out so that others can come in. Our staff will help us monitor the capacity. We value your input, and we thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. And now, with the instructions being covered, I will now open the public hearing regarding the proposed budget for the fiscal year 26-27. If you wish to speak in favor of the proposed budget, please form a line behind the podium to my left. Mr. Clerk, are there any public comments to be read in the record in favor of the proposed budget?
We have none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, if you wish to speak in opposition to the proposed budget, please form a line to the podium to my left. Please state your name for the record, and you may address the board. Your name, and you may address the board.
Beverly Clark. Good evening, Mayor, Board, and my neighbors here in Zebulon. I'm Beverly Clark, and I stood...
Sorry, Ms. Clark, can you please speak into the microphone? Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. I stood before you and resigned as a commissioner last year about this time.
If you could not speak out, that would be really great. Thank you. Jeremy, can you please restart the timer? Ms. Clark, can you please speak in, Chief or Captain,
Okay.
there will be no speaking out, there will be no yelling out in those chambers. If anyone yells out, I am asking that they be removed immediately. Thank you, Captain Howard. Ms. Clark, please speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, and my neighbors here in Zebulon. I am Beverly Clark. When I stood before you and resigned as commissioner last year, I spoke from the heart about the lack of confidence in this board. I warned the community about attitudes and an unwillingness to do what is best for the town. It breaks my heart to stand here tonight repeating those exact same warnings. With the existence of the deficit that we're facing, this board's solution seems to be to increase their salaries, give the mayor an extra $5,000 raise, all while adding more to the plates of the people who are doing the heavy lifting. The board gets health insurance, but you also want to pass a 6-figure travel budget for travel and training. We never hear a single word about what you actually learned on those trips that helps our town in a meaningful way. You shouldn't be enriching yourselves when regular folks are hurting. Leaders would be willing to sacrifice a raise in travel. I served as a commissioner for over 20 years, and I understand that it is a service position and not a selfish position. We also need you to take responsibility for how we got here. The last 2 budgets were passed under a town manager that a majority of this board appointed. And did your hire warn you, or did you just refuse to listen? I certainly don't remember us being in a structural deficit under manager Joe Moore. He constantly warned us of our financial outlook so we could make wise choices for the town. And you don't have to look far for other smart cuts. Commissioner Roa brought some good common sense savings to the table last week, and they deserve to be taken seriously. He rightly questioned spending $84,000 on the internship program that isn't significantly helpful to operations. He also pointed out that we shouldn't be spending $30,000 on out-of-town strategic retreats when we can host them right here locally. He also called for a hard look at professional services and third-party consulting. Commissioner Roa is spot on. We need deeper cuts, and we should start by completely eliminating the increases for salaries. Let's stop looking at helping yourselves, look at the math, and make the citizens of Zebulon your priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Next person please come to the podium. Please remember to state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ophi McCoy. I live on Pierce's Road in Zebulon. And Zebulon is my town. This is where I live. This is where I shop. And when I heard about a deficit budget, however you want to say it, I wanted to come down and just let you know how I felt about it. I've spoken to most of you personally, so I think most of you know that I have worked at the City of San Jose Council offices for 8 years. So I saw 8 budgets go through. And we're talking big multi-million-dollar budgets. They were huge. This is in the late 80s, a long time ago. But there was only one occasion that I can remember where we had a budget where our monies coming in did not meet our needs of our town, our city actually. And what happened then is that our town manager, our city manager, sent out a memo to all the departments to make a cut, a percentage cut in each department. And it wasn't an ask, it was a do it or I will do it for you. Because the important thing is to not spend money we don't have. I know all of you have come into public service for a variety of reasons. Most of you just want to make our town better, and I understand that. I too have that sense of wanting to make our community better, to make people in our community live better, enjoy our town more. And it's very difficult to make cuts when you may be missing a friend. You may have to put some social services on the back burner and wait for a while. But those are essential things, and those tough decisions need to be made. Hopefully before they come before you, you should be able to just approve a good, balanced budget. You should not have to be making those decisions. It needs to be thought out thoroughly, and I know you've had work sessions. Some of you come to this office because you really have a desire to improve our community. Maybe you have a political agenda. Perhaps you just like to be in a position to help everyone else, and I appreciate that in each and every one of you. I know it takes time. I know the hours that you spend going through these budgets and looking at every single line item and trying to figure out what is essential and what isn't, especially when the budget doesn't balance. But please, please do not pass a budget that doesn't balance. You cannot spend money you don't already have in hand. It's really important, and I know that by your actions tonight, you will share with us your true appreciation of our community. I want to know that your words will also match your actions, so please do something to balance this budget. Don't put it through and have money going out that we don't have yet. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. McCoy. The next person, please come to the podium to my left. Please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for hearing from residents tonight. My name is Kelly Hamilton, and I moved to Zebulon about 2.5 years ago from Wake Forest. My grandparents and my great-grandparents are from Zebulon. This is home for my family. Like many of you, I was excited about the growth, but I've been disappointed to see how little has changed on the ground. We're one of the fastest growing towns in North Carolina, yet we still don't have the shopping centers, restaurants, or everyday amenities that should come with that boom. Zebulon and Wendell are the top 2 fastest growing towns in the state. Wendell is number 1, and we're right behind at number 2. But the results are very different. Wendell has tree-like square, shopping, dining, restaurants, walkable retail that residents can enjoy right now. Here in Zebulon, we're still driving out of town for basic things. In 2.5 years, I've seen no meaningful new commercial development that improves daily life for families. At the same time, with a $2.4 million structural deficit, now 1.9, the board is proposing compensation that is roughly double Wendell's responsible approach. Wendell Mayor, $16,000, Commissioners, $12,000, minimal travel training, no health insurance. Zebulon Mayor, $30,000, Mayor Pro Tem, $27,000, Commissioners, $25,000, plus $52,500 travel and training, $30,000 retreats, and health insurance. These are part-time local positions. Wendell is showing that you can serve effectively with modest pay and fiscal restraint while delivering real growth benefits. We're not seeing that stewardship here. I came home expecting progress after all these years of family roots here. Instead, we've gotten a big deficit and proposals to increase elected officials' pay and perks while commercial development lags. This feels like the board is treating these roles like high-salary, benefit-rich positions instead of focusing on what taxpayers actually need: controlled spending, aggressive economic development that brings shops and restaurants to Zebulon. I respectfully urge the board to follow Wendell's example, scale back compensation to responsible, peer-aligned levels until the deficit is fixed. Prioritize economic development that delivers grocery-anchored shopping centers and restaurants that residents can actually use. Lead by example, freeze these raises and perks, focus on every dollar closing the gap and attracting the amenities that match our explosive growth. Share transparent side-by-side comparisons and pay and development outcomes. Public service during rapid growth is about results for the people who live here, not maximizing compensation. My family has been part of this community for generations. We deserve better. Let's make Zebulon the place to be by managing our budget like Wendell and delivering the growth benefits families expect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hamilton. Next person, please come to the podium. State your name for the record. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Scott Carpenter, and I live in downtown Zebulon. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I oppose this budget. The budget needs to be fixed before you approve it. It includes a $2.4 million or a $1.8 million shortfall, but a deficit is a deficit. It cancels already approved and much-needed capital projects to plug that gap. and it puts the rainy day reserve fund dangerously close to falling below fund policy levels, increasing financial risk, such as lower bond ratings and higher future borrowing costs, placing further burdens on the Zebulon taxpayers. The board lacks the necessary forecasting tools and policies to manage the budget decisions and control spending. Town manager has publicly admitted that difficult discussions are needed, and the public deserves to understand those concerns before you approve the budget. Here are some operational facts from your own budgets in the town financial dashboard. 2026 actual revenues are $4.1 million less than budgeted. 2026 actual expenses are $1.8 million more than actual revenue. Revenue to cover personnel and operating costs are $2.39 million less than the revenue generating income that is supposed to cover those costs. Personnel costs are $1.3 million more this year than last year. Why? Show us a year-over-year, line-by-line financial reconciliation of all salaries, bonuses, and benefits. Today's million-dollar budget mistakes become tomorrow's tax bills. Zebulon can strengthen its financial situation by applying common sense. Rebuild reserves. Strengthen financial stability and protect taxpayers from future budget crises by restoring the rainy day fund to 40%. Put surplus funds back to work for taxpayers. Move unused capital funds into reserves or return the surplus to taxpayers through refunds or tax relief. Lower the tax rate. Zebulon shouldn't remain one of the highest tax towns in Wake County. Start with a 2 to 4% tax rate reduction. Spend within our means. Align spending with what taxpayers can sustainably support. Keep mayor and commissioner compensation reasonable. Why would you think about rewarding yourselves for the financial difficulties that you've put the town in? I request stronger financial oversight policies, improved transparency, and regular public reporting on reserves, budget performance, and long-term financial risks, and that these policies be approved before final budget adoption. If you vote yes for this budget, you are voting to put Zebulon one step closer to insolvency. I respectfully request that the North Carolina Office of the State Auditor review the town's financial management, budgeting practices, reserve fund policies, and internal financial controls.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. The next person, please come to the podium. State your name for the record. Thank you.
My name is Karen Pierce Orndorff. Living on Dukes Lake Road in Zebulon. I'm a concerned citizen. I used to love this town very much, but with us having a $1.8 million deficit and y'all are suggesting 30 and 50% raises, it's kind of redundant. Your town employees are getting their 3%. Why can't y'all settle for a little less this time just to make us have money to spend or have? $52,500 for travel and training. Franklin County budgets $30,000, and that's a county, for their travel and training. I don't know what they do different from you all. Maybe they do some internet training and stuff like that, I'm not sure. But they have 7 members on their board. How do you plan on paying the deficit down if you're increasing stuff? I'm not an expert. I've been in finance for about 7 years. I've been looking at budgets for all that time. $25,000 for retreats when the town is suffering. Can't we cut some of that just for a time? Maybe even put it off? $20,000 for grants, special events, board appreciation. We can't appreciate it if you don't give us a reason to appreciate you.
Please let me remind everyone in this room to keep
That
decorum.
can be cut in this budget. I don't understand anybody not being concerned about a deficit that we have. The former administration, some of you were on the former administration. All I ask is that we do get your help, and it's not time to help yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. Next person, please come to my podium and state your name.
I'm Dale Beck, and I live on Stratford Drive in Zebulon. And I recognize that this is a trying time for commissioners because I spent a few years doing it myself. So I'm not going to get up here and fuss at you or anything, but I want you to remember one thing in particular, that you are the stewards of taxpayers' money. Use it wisely. And that means taking care of those things that are essential for the town of Zebulon and for the quality of life that we have: fire, police, public works, recreation, parks, and so forth. That's the important thing, not the where you traveling all over the country or whatever. Those conferences aren't worth a hill of beans, in my opinion. You get all the information you need to run a town at the Institute of Government built in Chapel Hill. They'll teach you what you can do, what you can't do. You got to use your common sense to judge what is the best thing for the town of Zebulon. And that's what I encourage you folks to do. Listen, don't worry about your pet peeves, your pet projects or whatever it might be. Take care of the town of Zebulon first, spend their money wisely, and you just don't use fund balance. That's going into my savings account. I remember when I was on the board, the mayor, Mr. Matheny, was really a strict guy on the town the fund balance. You didn't get into the fund balance unless it was absolutely necessary. That might have been a little too strict at times, but anyway, I still believe that myself. So use it wisely. And if you do that and use your common sense, it'll be a better place for the town and for the budget. Don't get yourself in a mess, okay? And that's where you're headed if you don't do something a little different. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Next person, please come to the podium to my left and state your name for the record.
Tonight, we spent a considerable amount of time talking about money. I'd like to bring our attention. I'm sorry, sir?
The record, please.
Oh, Dr. Crowan, resident of the town of Zebulon.
Thank you, Dr. Crowan.
Tonight, we spent a considerable amount of time talking about money. I'd like to talk about people. Leadership develops in 3 phases. The first phase is people get elected in office or they get hired as town staff, and they believe that their role is public service, and they absolutely are enjoying their role. They want to serve, they want to lead, they want to help. So they seek out public attention, but they seek out feedback, and they seek out their duty to others through action. Some people do this because they feel the urge to be a public servant, and they feel that their role is to help others. But that changes over time, and people move into the entitlement phase. Entitlement leadership seeks personal importance over others. It seeks reward by bonuses, by salary increases, by travel benefits, and by other perks, even simply seeking out money and attention and events to draw attention to themselves. That's because they're no longer looking to be public servants, they're looking to be self-servants. This phase is not unusual. Anybody who's lived in this country and seen Washington, D.C. knows how it develops. The third phase is exploitation. At that point, the people who are in positions of authority, either elected or hired, stop seeking out service, and they start seeking out the opportunity to get what they can by taking money and using their office for their benefit, either for their career, to give money to their friends, or to assist in their own political career advancement. Now, I have been told that I like the sound of my own voice, and that's why I come to this podium. But the truth is, I come to this podium to try to remind people to be public servants, because we only have 2 choices. One choice is to listen, to learn, and work together. The other choice is for a responsible citizen to rise up against those who are in leadership and remove them, whether they be elected or whether they be hired. That is because it is a responsibility of any citizen. As Thomas Jefferson said, a little revolution is a good thing. I come here to try to remind us to work together. And that if we're packing a debt and saddling it upon the next group of leaders, we are abdicating our role as leaders. We are using our role for personal advancement of the moment. And we're exploiting people for the opportunity to advance their own agenda. I hope we leave here tonight with an ability to work together. But we will see votes in the next few minutes. And those votes will tell people in this room whether our leaders are in the public service phase or the exploitation phase. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Crowell. Are there any others that wish to speak in opposition for the proposed budget? Mr. Clerk. Oh, wait. Am I right? Yeah. Mr. Clerk. Are there any email comments?
We have a few, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the board, over the last few weeks, we've received about 25 statements. Many of them are almost word for word the same statement. So what I would like to do is I would like to read them in the groups that they are written and let you know who wrote the statement or who emailed the statement that matches the content. You may notice as we go through the first few that there are some difference. So I wanted to make sure I read the versions that were different so that everybody's comments got a chance to get heard.
Mr. Clerk, do you get 3 minutes too? I'm just playing. Just joking, Jeremy. Just joking.
Yes, ma'am, I know. So to start off with, the first comments I'm going to read were all provided by the same people that I'm about to read off. And if I get the names wrong, please forgive me. Some of the handwriting was hard to read. The first group is Ken Griswold, Patricia Roberson, Tanner Griswold, Taylor Griswold, Dallas Pierce, Dale Beck, Jennifer McLeod, Derek Pruitt, Brian Perry, Dan Perry, David Bunn, Anthony Creech, Tim and Sandra Richardson, Tommy Massey, and W. David Hawkins. Their statement goes as such. My name is, insert the name, and I do not live in Zebulon, but I rely on services the town provides. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I would like to thank town staff for preparing the 2027 budget book. I am not in favor of this budget in its current form, and I ask that the board revise it because the budget should not rely on reserves to support ongoing operations. The budget reduces the reserve funds to a dangerous level that is below the fund policy. The budget does not explain how the town will restore reserves, maintain long-term financial stability, and avoid future tax increases. The budget process has not been sufficiently open and transparent. Citizens cannot provide meaningful input if access to the supporting budget documents are not readily available for public review as requested. I request stronger financial oversight policies, improved transparency, and regular public reporting on reserves, budget performance, and long-term financial risks, and that these policies be approved before final budget adoption. The second group, with only minor variation, were submitted by Joe Chambly, Teresa Knoll, and Ronald Knoll. It starts off by saying, my name is, insert the name, and I live in Zebulon. Good morning, mayors and commissioners. Good evening, mayors and commissioners. I would like to thank town staff for preparing the 2027 budget book. I'm not in favor of this budget in its current form, and I ask that the board revise it because the budget does not rely on reserves to support ongoing operations. The budget reduces the reserve funds to a dangerous level that is below the fund policy. The budget does not explain how the town will restore reserves, maintain long-term financial stability, and avoid future tax increases. The budget process has not been sufficiently open and transparent. Citizens cannot provide meaningful input if access to the supporting budget documents are not readily available for public review as requested. I request stronger financial oversight policies, improved transparency, and regular public reporting on reserves, budget performance, and long-term financial risks, and that these policies be approved before final budget adoption.
Just keep going.
And while there is another set of consistency in this one, it's slightly different, so I want to make sure that they get heard.
Thank you.
This email was slightly different. It was from one individual by the name of Chad Edens. It says, my name is Chad Edens. I do not live in Zebulon, but I pay taxes. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I would like to thank town staff for preparing the 2027 budget book. I'm not in favor of this budget in its current form, and I ask the board revise it. The board should not rely on reserves to support ongoing operations. The budget reduces the reserve funds to a dangerous level that is below the fund policy. The budget does not explain how the town will restore reserves, maintain long-term financial stability, and avoid future tax increases. The budget process has not been sufficiently open and transparent. Citizens cannot provide meaningful input if access to the supporting budget documents are not readily available for public review as requested. Their email closes out, I request stronger financial oversight policies, improved transparency, and regular public reporting on reserves, budget performance, and long-term financial risks, and that these policies be approved before final budget adoption. From this point on, the other emails are unique. There's no repetitive content to them. The first one is from Jason Smith. It says, good afternoon. I am unable to be at the town meeting on 6/22. I saw him earlier, forgive me. Please read these comments into the record opposing the budget. My name is Jason Smith, and I'm a resident of Zebulon. I'm not going to restate his address. I seek to make known that I oppose the state of town of Zebulon budget. The town of Zebulon commissioner and staff are already paid more than other towns and municipalities in the area, while our taxes are also the highest in the county. Our commissioners do not need a raise in this budget year due to the deficit. The commissioners and mayor's prior decisions have led us to this place. We also need to pause all travels to other cities for training and development that could be handled on a Teams call instead of the extra travel expense. It was stated that if people leave the job, it's a lot of money to replace them. People will always leave their job if they feel unappreciated and undervalued. Money is not the value since they are already paid more than the other towns. I would also halt spending on any town events. There should be held as a sponsor event for local businesses to pay and advertise at the event, not for tax dollars to be spent carelessly on an event not inclusive of all residents, such as the Candy Cane Lane and Juneteenth 3-day celebration, where not all people can attend or celebrate. We do not need to become like our neighbors in Rocky Mount and where their budget was at. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Jason. The next statement is from Matthew Fletcher. I support this proposed budget as it reflects short-term fixes rather than sustainable financial planning. This budget relies heavily on a $3.1 million fund balance appropriation, essentially using savings to cover ongoing operating expenses. While this avoids immediate tax increases or service cuts, it is not a viable long-term strategy. One-time funds are being used to support recurring costs, which creates an unavoidable gap in future budgets. Equally concerning is the temporary waiver of the town's fund balance policy. These reserves exist to ensure financial stability and emergency preparedness. Waiving this policy signals that we are already below recommended reserve levels and operating with a diminished financial cushion. Taken together, these decisions point to a structural imbalance. Expenditures are outpacing recurring revenues. This is further evidenced by incremental fee increases in services like trash, recreation, and inspections. Clear signs that operational costs are rising without sustainable funding plan in place. Additionally, reallocating funds from delayed or inactive capital projects may help balance the budget today, but it risks deferring essential infrastructure investments that could impact service delivery and increase costs in the future. Most importantly, this budget does not present a clear, actionable, long-term strategy to restore reserves or correct the underlying imbalance. While it achieves short-term goals, avoiding tax increases and maintaining current service levels, it does so at the expense of long-term financial health. For these reasons, I oppose this budget and urge that these structural issues be addressed before it is approved. This is from Vicky Hartrich. We are against the proposed budget. We conduct most of our business in Zebulon and live near the Nameko Stadium, which was called the Mudcat Stadium or Five County Stadium. We are concerned citizens and we want this remedied now. We are certainly against the proposed increases for the mayor and the Zebulon commissioners, given the deficit we are now experiencing. We certainly do not want to see Zebulon in bankruptcy. This could lead to tax increases, which in turn could affect seniors, retirees, and working families. I do not need to explain how much we are already struggling just to keep up and make ends meet. A 4% tax reduction is a good place to start because Zebulon should not be in one of the highest tax towns in North Carolina. Please listen to what we are saying. This one's from Mr. Glenn Marsh. To the esteemed members of the Town Council, I wish to formally submit my resolute opposition to the proposed town budget and to articulate deep-seated concerns regarding its financial underpinning. As a dedicated member of this community, I believe it is essential that our elected officials exemplify unwavering fiscal prudence, especially during periods of financial distress. The prevailing financial climate, characterized by a substantial $2 million deficit, presents a challenging reality for our community. In light of this significant financial burden, the concept of maintaining, let alone increasing, council member remuneration appears profoundly inconsistent with the tenets of responsible financial governance and public trust. It is my firm conviction that a reassessment of salaries, potentially encompassing a temporary suspension or a demonstrable reduction, he's testing my language skills here.
No worries.
Should be earnestly considered until a clear, actionable strategy for eliminating this deficit is not only formulated, but actively implemented. True leadership in public service necessitates demonstrating solidarity and making personal sacrifices when the community confronts economic hardship. Furthermore, I strongly urge the council to furnish a comprehensive and transparent account of the tangible achievements and meaningful progress realized since the most recent election cycle. The community requires concrete evidence demonstrating how our current governance structure is effectively addressing critical town issues and delivering value that unequivocally justifies existing compensation and certainly any future considerations for increases. Without a verifiable track record for overcoming the very challenges contributing to our financial shortfall, it becomes increasingly arduous for residents to reconcile council salaries with the fiscal realities confronting our town. The weight of the $2 million deficit places a considerable burden on taxpayers and directly impacts the potential for vital town services. It is precisely during such critical junctures that the community anticipates its leaders will set an example, prioritize the town's financial health above personal compensation, and commit unequivocally to restoring financial stability. The letter closes out by saying, I respectfully request that these sentiments be given thorough consideration and officially regarded as part of the ongoing budget review process. The next letter is from Tracy Shell. Hello, I am writing as a homeowner, taxpayer, and voter within the town of Zebulon to express my strong opposition to the proposed budget. For years, this board has overseen rapid residential growth while failing to adequately plan for the long-term impacts on the infrastructure, public services, traffic, public safety, and overall quality of life. The consequences of those decisions are now becoming impossible to ignore. When growth is approved without corresponding investments in the systems necessary to support it, the result is predictable. Sustained resources, strained resources, increased costs, and taxpayers left to absorb the burden. What is perhaps most concerning is the apparent lack of accountability being demonstrated by some members of this board. Citizens have heard elected officials publicly acknowledge that they do not fully understand municipal budgets, despite voting on them year after year. That admission should alarm every taxpayer in the town. Understanding the budget is not optional. It is one of the most fundamental responsibilities of elected office. Likewise, claims that current officials were not responsible for creating today's financial challenges miss the point entirely. Whether an individual helped create the problem is irrelevant. The responsibility of elected leadership is to recognize problems, stop harmful patterns from continuing, and make prudent decisions that protect the community's future. Leadership requires ownership, not excuses. I am also deeply troubled by the continued allocation of taxpayer dollars towards travel, training, retreats, and related expenses at a time when residents are being asked to accept difficult financial realities. In an era where virtual meetings, webinars, online training, and remote collaboration have become standard practice, increasing these expenditures seems the wrong message to citizens who are already concerned about the town's financial direction. Every dollar spent on discretionary travel is a dollar that cannot be spent addressing infrastructure needs, supporting basic safety personnel, public safety personnel, maintaining public services, or preparing for the impacts of continued growth. The citizens of Zebulon deserve a board that prioritizes fiscal responsibility over optics, accountability over excuses, and long-term planning over short-term decision-making. We deserve leaders who understand that taxpayer dollars are not an entitlement, but a trust. This proposed budget does not inspire confidence that the lessons of the past have been learned until there is evidence of meaningful fiscal restraint, greater transparency, and a genuine commitment to addressing the consequences of years of unchecked growth. I cannot support it. I urge the board to reconsider this budget and demonstrate to the citizens of Zebulon that their concerns are being heard. Thank you for your time and attention on this matter. This is from Dominic Schilling. Hello. The current budget proposal is completely unacceptable. All non-essential expenses need to be cut until the $2.4 million deficit is eliminated without using our reserves. Please read these comments into the record, opposing the budget. A repeat on these two. We were sent two different messages from this couple, and I didn't want to favor one over the other or leave one comment out. Fortunately, it's not very long. Dear Honorable Clerk, I ask that the following statement be read into the record of discussion at the Board of Commissioners meeting today at 4 p.m. They thought we were going to have the hearing last week. The proposed stipends for the Mayor and Board of Commissioners, including health care coverage, would lead to an expenditure estimated at $300,000 plus per year. This proposal, if passed, would only add to the current $2.4 million shortfall that the town has. This proposal is not a good financial policy and appears to be not in the best interest of the citizens of Zebulon. Zebulon has one of the highest, if not the highest, tax rate in the county. This would discourage new home buyers from buying new homes here. If more funds are not added to build up the reserve fund back to over 50%, that would lower the bond rating for the town. I would ask the board to consider more focus on funding and supporting the resources that our excellent police and fire departments need to provide the ultimate services to keep our town safe. The raises for the mayor and the board only appear to be self-serving and not in the best interest of Zebulon residents. The unity in the community are divided, and over this budget proposal, and the budget needs to be fixed now to avoid further harm in the future. Please fix this budget now and get our town of Zebulon back on track. It appears that it was from Ronald and Teresa Knoll. No signature line. The last statement that I have in opposition is from Patricia Roberson and the Griswold family. To the Zebulon Board of Commissioners and Town of Zebulon staff, our town of Zebulon has a form of cancer, an uncontrollable growth called a deficit, spreading to every part of our town's body. And tonight, while our town is sick and hurting, some of our elected officials have the nerve to stand up here and talk about raising their own salaries. Let me be plain, our town is staring down a $2.4 million budget deficit, and yet the proposal before this board would nearly double commissioner pay from roughly $8,000 to $16,000 a year and raise the mayor's salary to $20,000. And let's not forget, the original proposals were even more outrageous, with staff initially suggesting Mayor Harrison receive $30,000, Mayor Pro Tem Quentin Miles $27,000, and each commissioner $25,000 annually. And a town that cannot balance its own books. Really? Now, I want to make one thing perfectly clear to every person sitting up on that dais. We elected you, we did not hire you. You are servants of this community, not executives of a corporation. You already receive health care insurance benefits that many of your neighbors and taxpayers can only dream of. And let's be honest, some sought this position for exactly that reason. The citizens of Zebulon are not your employer handing out merit raises. We are the people you swore to serve. And speaking of service, how is that going exactly? In the past 2 years, Zebulon has seen turnover in the positions of town manager, town clerk, police chief, planning director, communications director, and public works director. That is 6 out of 11 positions on the town management team, plus an assistant town manager who resigned and was never replaced. 6 out of 11. We have had more turnover than Walmart, and these were well-paid positions with excellent benefits. Why are good, qualified people running out the door? Our town manager resigned during a public meeting, saying that the Board of Commissioners directed him to take unwarranted, unethical, disciplinary action against a colleague. And an assistant town manager described as exemplary with no performance issues whatsoever. She resigned just days later. Is the board truly personnel friendly? Or are they running good people right out of the town hall? Should be another minute or so. There's a lot of references on here that I'm not going to read through, like citations.
Thank you.
And then there is the spending. The proposed budget before this board tonight is $28.5 million in a year when $2.4 million structural deficit. To patch that hole, they are pulling millions of dollars out of capital project funds. One commissioner himself admitted this cannot be done again next year, and that the deficit will only keep growing because things get more expensive. What else is buried in this budget? An $84,000 internship program? $84,000 for interns, while we are cutting services and raiding capital funds. The work would not be so hard if the people leading this town knew what they were doing. It will be a very sad day when our tax dollars and young people's time are spent following leaders who are not transparent, honest, or fully accountable to the people they serve. And do not let anyone forget, this board budgeted $30,000 for their own retreats and strategic planning sessions in a deficit year. How much strategic planning does it take to understand that you cannot spend money that you do not have? What makes all of this even more alarming is this: the town of Zebulon has no financial forecasting model, none, to project revenues, expenses, or the demands of a growing town. We are the second fastest growing municipality in the entire state of North Carolina, and our board is flying blind with no map and no compass while asking for a pay raise for the ride. Over 400 Zebulon residents signed a petition calling for this board to be reconstituted. That is not a complaint, that is a warning. People of the town are watching, we are engaged, and we are not going away. Our town is in a sick state of affairs, and it needs all of us to be caregivers. But the first stop is to healing The first step into healing is to stop the bleeding. Forgive me. Respectfully, Patricia Roberson and the Griswold family. That is all the emailed comments we had in opposition. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. If you wish to speak neither in favor nor in opposition to the proposed budget, please form a line behind the podium to my left. Please state your name for the record.
Hello. Good. Can you hear me? Perfect.
I can hear you, but they might can't. Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, Town Manager, and staff. First, I want to thank each of you for your time, effort, the difficult conversations that have gone into this budget process. Over the past several weeks, I've attended the meetings, I've watched the work sessions, reviewed the budget materials, and listened to the discussions taking place. What I've seen is not a group of people that are ignoring challenges.
I'm sorry, Jonathan. Jeremy, can you start the timer? Sorry.
Yeah. What I've seen is not a group of people that are ignoring challenges. I've seen a board that's wrestling with difficult decisions, debating priorities, and asking tough questions, all while working through the realities of managing a growing community. Some people may disagree on specific decisions, but I believe it's important to acknowledge the work that has gone into this process. I'll say this directly because I think it matters. In this room, I've watched the board go through the budget in detail, debating things like fireworks, the parade, board salaries, and the internship program. One commissioner put it well in the last meeting. He called the savings from that whole exercise a drop in the bucket compared to the gap the town is facing. Because it is. You could zero out every one of those line items and you would still not touch 10% of the gap. This isn't a budget problem that you solve by cutting a fireworks line. It's a bigger structural issue and the board knows that, which is why they're building a financial forecast going forward, instead of pretending like a few $1,000s here and there fixes it. And I think that distinction matters when we talk about leadership here. Manager Crosby has been direct about the gap from the start. She said plainly that the town doesn't have a multi-year forecast, and then went on camera to explain the gap to the residents directly in plain language. Mayor Harrison, you've backed that approach publicly and kept this board focused on fixing the actual problem instead of scoring points off of it. That's not the easy path, but it's the right one. And it's exactly the kind of leadership that gets lost in the Facebook comment section. Now I'd like to speak not as a resident that's addressing the board, but as a neighbor speaking to my other neighbors. I've seen a lot of discussions online about this budget. Some of it's raised valid questions, some of it has genuine concern. And that's a good thing. Local government should be questioned, and elected officials should be held accountable. Public engagement is healthy. But what concerns me is that too many questions are happening without context, without facts, and oftentimes without respect. From the outside, it's easy to take a vote, look at a vote, a budget number, or a headline, and think that the answer is obvious. But after sitting through the discussions, reading the materials, and listening to the questions being asked, I appreciate just how much context, debate, and consideration goes into these conversations. I know most people don't have the time to attend every meeting or read every document, but if there's an issue that you care about, I encourage you to spend a little time learning about it before you form an opinion to share online. Watch a meeting, read the documents, and reach out to a commissioner to ask a question. Your voice is strongest when it's informed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, are there any public comments to be read to the record that are neither in favor nor in opposition of the proposed, but you're standing up, okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, not wanting to assume what the person's intent was, they didn't say to read it in opposition. And the comments could be taken from a neutral point of view. So I put these in this category. The first comment or the first email letter is from Susan Pierce. It says, I respectfully request the reading of my budget comments at the public hearing on June 22nd. To Mayor Harrison, Board of Commissioners, Town Manager, and citizens, I would like to express some thoughts about two areas of concern in the current and proposed budgets. Nonprofit grants and the funding of events and festivals. These expenditures often appear to support personnel interests and favored projects rather than core community needs. Of particular concern is the process by which nonprofit grants are awarded. Commissioners were intended to evaluate applications without access to identifying information about applicants. However, it appears that they had access to that information. Despite recommendations, from an impartial review committee established to evaluate the applications. The Board of Commissioners made funding decisions independently. Based on the awards that were made, there is a perception that some grants were directed to organizations or individuals with connections to the board members, raising concerns about potential conflicts of interest and the fairness of the process. During this time when Zebulon is experiencing financial struggles, I would like to ask that the town discontinue the nonprofit grants until we are in a place of financial strength. Instead, our town staff should focus on writing grants to obtain funds for key initiatives. As a best practice, some municipalities simply offer agenda space for nonprofits to make a presentation and spread the word to the community instead of giving direct grants. Citizens will support the nonprofits out of their personal funds if they see that the programs are adding value to the town. Taxes should not be used to support nonprofits. I am also concerned that how some events and festivals are initiated. Residents are generally not surveyed or asked for input regarding the types of events they would like the town to support. Festival and event concepts are often proposed by elected officials, while the responsibility for planning, coordinating, and executing them falls to town staff. Staff are frequently expected to deliver complex events on short timelines and with limited resources, creating strain on morale and town operations and diverting attention from essential municipal services. At the same time, the costs of these events are borne by taxpayers. Many of these events provide limited benefit to residents as a whole, and in some cases, appear to serve more as a promotional opportunity for elected officials than as community-wide initiatives. For the past 4 to 5 years, there have been repeated and lengthy discussions at town meetings regarding whether to host Candy Cane Lane, a Christmas parade, or both. Rather than selecting and focusing resources on a single signature event, the board has often directed staff to organize multiple large-scale events with a short period, further stretching limited resources. It would be more practical to have a fall event and a Christmas parade instead of having so much at one time. I would encourage a thorough review of attendance figures, costs, and overall community impact for these events. Additionally, I believe the town should survey residents to determine what types of events they value most and whether current expenditures align with community priorities. Public funds should be directed toward programs and activities that demonstrate broad public support and provide measurable benefits to the citizens who ultimately bear the cost. I would also urge the board to be more transparent with the expenses for each event so that citizens can be aware of how taxes are being spent. This should include all costs for the events, including salaries of staff who are working at the event. Thank you for your consideration of these changes in the proposed budget. And the last statement I have, the last email, it appears as the board transitioned, the comments transitioned. This is again from Susan Pierce after the last board meeting we had. I'm ready to express my concerns regarding the proposed increases to the mayor's and commissioner's stipends, as well as the request for additional funding for travel and training expenses. While I understand the importance of continuing education and professional development for elected officials, I believe these requests should be carefully evaluated in light of the town's current financial condition. Our town is facing an approximately $3 million budget deficit and has reserve fund levels that are reportedly below 30%. Given these circumstances, I question whether increasing compensation and expanding travel budgets is an appropriate use of taxpayer funds at this time. Many residents are being asked to do more with less, and I believe town leadership should demonstrate the same fiscal restraint that is expected of taxpayers and town staff. Before considering additional expenditures for elected officials, I would encourage the board to focus on addressing the budget shortfall, rebuilding reserve funds, and ensuring the town's long-term financial stability. I respectfully request that my concerns be shared with the mayor and the Board of Commissioners and be included in the public record regarding any discussion or votes related to these proposed increases. Thank you for your time and consideration. That is the last statement I had that would be considered neutral, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Clerk, now that we have heard from those wishing to address the board, I will now close the public hearing. With the public hearing complete, are there any remaining comments from the board? Commissioner Baxter, Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Roa.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I think we've heard from 35 different people against this budget. We didn't hear from anyone for this budget. I think a lot of the things that the citizens said are accurate. You know, our expenditures are outpacing our revenues, and we haven't done anything to address that but kick it down the road to next year. And we are the stewards of taxpayer money, and a lot of people have shown up here or messaged in to not approve this budget. So I would just ask that you reconsider in redirecting this budget back to the town manager to make more extensive cuts.
Thank you, Commissioner Roa. Mayor Pro Tem?
No comments at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. At this time, is there a motion for consideration? Oh, hold on. Do you want to? You got to amend that. Is there a motion for consideration? No motion for consideration.
Do we have a motion to present?
We need to do that, the amendment. Yeah.
I had a question regarding the amendment for, talk about fireworks, Juneteenth, and seafood and so.
They were left out of the budget, out of this, and so we.
So that 55 needs to be added to the Parks and Recs operating budget.
So they were inadvertently left out. No, we got to amend it to put them back.
Add it back, you understand?
So.
So it was in the original budget that you all presented, and then when we updated it.
It's not in the current.
Right.
It's not in the current, so
Right.
can we
So
amend
that-
it to add that?
Right, so the
back?
Parks and Rec is short $55,000.
Well, you mentioned that earlier, so I'm asking, can we go ahead and add that back?
Yes.
Okay.
So that would adjust it from the 266,0226 to 2,715,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
226.
715. 226. So you would be adopting as amended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So are you going to amend it? Go ahead. Make a motion to.
So I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda, the budget. Sorry, to approve the budget as amended.
To include the $55,000.
Yeah, as amended to include the 55,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Are we approving the budget or the amendment?
We are.
To the
We're
budget?
approving the budget with the amendment that Commissioner Davis just made. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
How do you weigh, having been part of this budget process before, how do you weigh the feedback that you receive from the community and not make any
Let me remind our audience that we will keep decorum and we will be respectful. And if you can't find yourself to be having decorum and respectful, you are welcome to leave. Thank you. But we will have decorum and we will be respectful. I understand the difference of opinions. We are all entitled to our difference of opinions, and I understand the passion in the room. But please understand that we're trying to get this done. We hear you. We understand. Captain Howard, we will have decorum in this room. The next person that yells out, I ask that you please remove them, because we will have at least, we can do this in peace and quiet. Thank you. Commissioner Roa, would you like to continue?
Yeah, that wasn't, and I'm not, being part of this board, it's a learning process. We went to the School of Government, Commissioner Miles and Commissioner Adams, we went together. This is a learning process that at every step of the way I've been asking, based on your experience, what's the way that we govern here? So it's not a gotcha moment. It wasn't trying to do that. It was realistically, we have a joint public hearing to get feedback. This is the most feedback I've seen anyone give on a plan development, on anything that we have a joint public hearing for. So, that's my question is we added $50,000 to the budget. I'm sorry, we added a $50,000 communication section to the budget, and now we're adding $50,000. We added $100,000 to the budget instead of cutting money. So that was my question, is giving the feedback in your experience with the board's experience with prior budgets, where do we bend a little bit after seeing so much community input?
Roa, any feedback?
I think that thank you.
Go ahead.
We have certainly some things that have been identified in the budget that are going to be under review for next year. Right now, we have a budget that has been balanced, and we are maintaining our current fund balance policy. With our contract with Wake County, we committed $750,000 to improve what is now Nomeco Park, so that we can be actively working with Capital Broadcasting with a huge redevelopment project that is going to bring a lot of the economic development that it sounds like the residents are craving. We also have some projects that have been approved and are in the works that are commercial related, that are going to be providing tax money moving forward. So the $750,000 just right there, we're not going to see that in next year's budget. And so I'm not sure what you believe we need to accomplish to, we have a balanced budget right now, and we're not dipping into fund balance below our policy.
Thank you, Commissioner Baxter. Any further discussion? Manager Crosby and Director Fitz, thank you all so much for your work. I know that this has been a lot, but thank you all for going back and finding it so that we are not in violation of our fund balance policy. That's very important to everyone in this room, that we are not below that. So thank you all for doing that and for making it clear that we are not in violation of our fund balance policy. We have a motion and a second. Roll vote. Commissioner Baxter?
In favor.
Commissioner Adams?
In favor.
Commissioner Davis?
In favor.
Commissioner Roa?
Not in favor.
Mayor Pro Tem? Mayor Pro Tem? Motion passes. Thank you. And now, any other comments you guys have?
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you so much for Town Manager Katie for putting this together. I know the process was difficult. I'm sorry, should I?
No, you shouldn't. You can keep going.
I understand the process was difficult. I think we did come down from the $2.4 million deficit, so I appreciate that. I think personally we should have had a longer way to go, but I can see it was a hard decision and you made cuts where you need to be. Thank you for the citizens of Zebulon that showed up and that spoke out. It's not easy. It's hard to be under the gun there, so to speak, and I appreciate your feedback. And to the board, I understand, that we may have a balanced budget, but I just apologize that I couldn't convince the board to make deeper cuts and get down to a more manageable number, because next year I feel that we're going to put the brunt of this on the taxpayer, and that's going to be a really hard situation to face.
Mayor Pro Tem? You want to go last?
I can go first.
You want to?
I can go.
You want to go last?
No, I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, I also thank staff and everybody for the hard work. Katie, Bobby, each department head, and every town staff. I know the work that went into it. To my fellow commissioners too as well. I'd just like to read a statement. As someone who was born and raised in Zebulon, this community is not just where I live, it is who I am. My family roots in this town stretch back generations, all the way to the days when the descendants of slavery were building lives and legacies here despite tremendous If I may continue.
Please.
My family roots in this town stretch back generations, all the way to the days when the descendants of slavery were building lives and legacy here despite tremendous obstacles. I grew up in Zebulon that was still facing efforts of segregation, a town that did not fully desegregate until 1971. Over the years, I've watched this community evolve into something truly special, a diverse, welcoming, and inclusive place where people from all walks of life can call home. Because of that history and because of my lifelong connection to this town, I do not take the responsibility of serving Zebulon lightly. Over the course of my lifetime, I've seen countless budgets adopted and countless legislative decisions made, yet never have I witnessed the level of personal attacks, misinformation, false accusations directed at elected officials that we see today. While we may not agree on every issue, I can honestly say that every member of this board loves this community and wants what is best for Zebulon. The budget before us tonight was not the results of quick decisions. It is the product of countless hours of work, decisions, analyzing, and due diligence. Every board member has dedicated significant time and energy to fulfilling the promise we made to the people of this town when we took office. Unfortunately, the noise of the few often attempt to drown out the voices of the many. We continue to see individuals weaponizing social media to create division, spread misinformation, and influence public perception of future political gains. At times, elected officials have been depicted in ways that are disrespectful, dehumanizing, and designed to inflame tension rather than encourage meaningful dialogue. But I would share the same message with every member of this board. We should never govern out of fear. We should never make decisions based on concerns about being re-elected. We're elected to lead, and leadership requires courage. I can say this with complete confidence that no one sitting on this board has ever approached the town finances carelessly or frivolously. We understand that every tax dollar comes from our neighbors, our families, and ourselves. When taxes increase, we pay those taxes too. The responsibility of stewardship is something we carry seriously because we live in this community alongside the people we serve. There's also been discussion about compensation for elected officials. The truth is that every member of this board has already invested far more they receive financially. While some may view these positions as part-time roles, anyone who has done this work understands that it's a full-time commitment of the heart. The meetings end, but the responsibility does not. The phone calls, emails, events, constituent concerns, planning session, community engagement continue long after the gavel falls. I love serving this community. I love meeting with residents, supporting local businesses, celebrating our students, honoring our veterans, and working alongside people who want to make Zebulon better than it was yesterday. Serving this town has never been about a title. It has always been about purpose. And if there are those who believe they can serve this community better, I sincerely encourage you to then step forward, put your name on the ballot, and become part of the solution. Democracy works best when people are willing to engage, participate, and contribute. As for me, I will continue to show up. I will continue to listen. I will continue to work. We will continue to make decisions based on what we, the people of Zebulon, believe is best for the long-term future of Zebulon. Because this town has given so much to me. I believe with every fiber of my being that I was created for this moment. I was called to serve this chapter of Zebulon's history, not because the work is easy, but because it matters. And as long as I have the privilege of serving, I will remain committed to building a community where every resident feels included, valued, respected, and proud to call Zebulon home. May we never allow division to define us when unity has always been the greatest strength. Unity through community.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you. What? Let's still keep decorum. Let's still keep decorum. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Did everybody go? Did y'all get a chance to talk? Commissioner Baxter? You want me
Our
to go?
tax rate is not increasing. Our services are going to be provided. We have an internal audit being run that will help us determine what processes can be streamlined and ways that we can operate with better efficiency. I am so proud to have Ms. Katie Crosby steering this ship right now. She has been extremely transparent and presented information with so much clarity and without sugarcoating our position. This is something that should have happened in the past. I'm extremely proud of our staff. They have worked very, very hard and continue to work extremely hard to make sure that the town we call home feels like home. We have a lot of exciting projects coming our way, projects that are going to increase the town's revenue and provide services that we all desire. Our tax rate is not increasing. Yes, we have work to do. The amount of time that this board, most of this board, spends making sure that they understand what that means to run a town efficiently and by trusting staff. Please don't discount that. And for everyone that came out tonight but didn't speak at the podium, I know sometimes it's hard to speak in favor of something when you've been on social media and you see a couple people complaining quite a bit. However, I am very, very grateful for everybody that did come out, because I tell you what, besides Mr. Dale Beck, I had 0 people talk to me about any issues that they had with the budget. I had a lot of people stop me and congratulate me on the work the town is doing to move forward. So please know that we love this town. I am not in this for fame. I am certainly not in this for fortune. I am in this for our town.
Baxter. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Ms. Katie and her team and to the commissioners and mayor. Definitely put an effort in to make this work, and I'm proud to be part of the board. I've never had a wow moment for my entire life, but today it's like, wow, really? This is what we're doing today? I'm reminded of a scripture that says, "Come, let us reason together." And that's what we're supposed to do. I might not agree with you, you might agree with me, but let's reason together and let's grow. And as my mom tell me, just do better. I think we're at a place now where we can do better as a whole, not just as individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Commissioner Davis.
I did have a statement that I was going to read, but I think I'm going to refrain from reading it. Mayor Pro Tem stated a lot of the same sentiments, and I am thankful to Commissioner Baxter for recognizing the positive aspects of this budget. This board and its staff continue to remain dedicated to this town. Again, as everybody has already stated, we might not agree on how we get there, but I know that we are well on our way to continue to make this town as great as it is and as great as it will continue to be. I want to thank Katie and I want to thank her entire staff for the diligent work that you have continued to put in. I want to thank this board for the number of hours and days that we have put in, dedicated, literally looking at every page, every nickel, every dime. We remain fervent in our process. I have told people several times that while I've had a full-time job while being on this board, nothing seems to take more of my time than working for this town. It is countless hours I can be at work receiving emails, text messages, phone calls, whether it's from the board, whether it's from citizens, even people that don't even live in the town of Zebulon. I've had family members call me all the way from Seattle, Washington, just seeing the news. And it is hard to sit in these seats when we are constantly beat down. We are constantly told the negative things that we do, and we rarely receive the praise. So I will continue to be that voice to praise this board. I want to thank our mayor for her leadership. I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem and every commissioner up here. I'm just looking forward to coming back in August, and we're going to continue to move forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Manager Crosby.
I want to say thank you to the board, all of you, because you all have asked really good questions. And I appreciate the feedback that you all have given me and the compliments you've given me today. But I want to, more importantly, thank my team. The support that I have received in the 4 months that I have been here has been incredible. And we are going to be working very diligently to address the budget challenges. But I also want to say thank you to Bobby, who many nights was up with me at 11 o'clock answering my questions that I asked 15 times, the same question in different ways, trying to understand, just get a better understanding of the numbers with the organization. But more broadly, we have about 130 employees. And those 130 employees hear and listen, and they stay tuned in to the conversations that we are having. And I understand that there are concerns about our budget gap, but I think it's really, really important that we take the time to be thoughtful about how we handle our budget going forward, because it impacts their daily lives. And Commissioner Roa, I know you have a lot of concerns, and I know we're going to have a lot of conversations over the next few months. But I just feel like I should publicly thank those individuals who sweep the streets, keep our facilities clean, make sure that the bills get paid, make sure that we have appropriate technology, make sure that our employees are taken care of. We have an incredible team who is watching this budget and who are impacted by what happens in this room. And so I just want them to know that that they're thought of, that they're appreciated, and this budget, while challenging, was in thought of them in what they do every single day. So thank you.
Thank you, Manager Crosby. Before I give my board comments, I will say I was concerned that we didn't have comments from this person, but unfortunately it was overlooked. Larry, let me read your comments. Submitted by Larry Louts, 500 Yates Place, Zebulon. 43-year resident of Zebulon, over 33 years of experience with Zebulon town government, including 4 years as town commissioner. Good evening, Mayor, elected officials, town employees, and citizens of Zebulon. This is in opposition of the budget, and it was missed during public comment. That is why I'm reading it now. The proposed budget estimated is a disgrace and a potential financial disaster for the town of Zebulon. It is also sad that citizens are only allowed 3 minutes, 400 words in order to comment on the budget, with no meetings to ask questions about the budget. The budget also lacks transparency. For example, town employee salary fringes are over 57% of the total budget. However, the budget does not include employee names or salary amounts. The elected board's salary increases are unwarranted, and by way, they fail to mention that they also include a golden Cadillac medical plan. Come on, golden Cadillac, valued at over an additional $10,000 in their compensation. No other elected officials in Wake County are provided free medical care. Zebulon has the highest municipal tax rate in Wake County, while the town has a poverty rate of 13.5%. This equates to 1 of every 8 citizens living in poverty. Having worked in economic development for over 30 years, the 2 main goals of growing of a growing town is to attract businesses with high-paying jobs and citizens with high-paying jobs and advanced education. This provides for higher quality of life, public safety, and a robust economy. Research also includes some troubling ethical events by elected officials along with past and current criminal activities. Some of this is related to budget expenditures and the lack of transparency, along with other charges, building violations, ordinance violations, just to name a few. This should warrant a full investigation, along with appropriate legal action, disciplinary and legal action. This matter should be referred to an outside attorney, as well as the state auditor's office and the State Bureau of Investigation. This also includes lawsuits filed by elected officials and lawsuits filed against the town and/or elected officials. The elected board's travel and training retreat is also of serious concern. This year's proposed budget was $82,500, while the Zebulon Police and Fire, their combined travel and training is $36,950, with our increase in gun crimes. Public safety budget requests should be fully funded. No town should ever approve an annual budget with a known deficit. Larry Laux. Thank you, Mr. Laux. Thank you. And as far as my board comments, first of all, again, I echo all of the sentiments that most of the board have said. I'm so incredibly grateful to have a town manager that has taken 20 hours of her day every day over the last week to ensure that we had what we needed and that we had a balanced budget. Katie, I know that 4 months on this job probably feels like 10 years at this point, but please know that this board appreciates you and the leadership that you're giving to this team. You know, as we came in, we knew that we would have a full room tonight. We know that we have residents with commonalities who disagree with the proposed budget, and I'm grateful that this board was able to sit here and to hear them, and I'm excited to make sure that we create a plan moving forward that will provide sustainability and continued financial stability for the future. And so moving forward past our budget, I just want to take another second and recognize Miss Lucretta Moore, who is in the audience right now. Miss Moore, I ain't gonna tell you to stand up because you are probably not going to, but I want to take this moment and just thank you so much for the time, energy, and effort you put in with leading the Juneteenth activities over the past 3 days. It was an incredible time that brought not only our residents and our community, but it brought our businesses. Our downtown was vibrant. Our business owners downtown benefited from all the people that came in. There were people that came from Wilson, Rocky Mount, Fayetteville, Durham, just to celebrate Zebulon's Juneteenth. And I think that boost in our economy is exactly the direction that this board wants to go in. And so I want to commend you and to appreciate you because the vision was big, but you executed it with grace and with class. And so we, the board, want to thank you for an event that was open to the entire public. And we know that because we had so many people there. And we just really appreciate that. And so for the last 5 years, we've celebrated Juneteenth. Our budget has not changed that much, and you stretched it and you made it work. Thank you to you. Thank you for every volunteer that came out. Thank you for every resident that came out. And thank you to our incredible communications director, who I know is sick of me. All right. So with that being said, to my board, Commissioner Baxter, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Adams, thank you. Commissioner Davis, thank you. Commissioner Roa, thank you. We don't always have to agree, but thank you for your passion. I don't agree with you, but I appreciate you being bold enough and having enough courage to vocalize what you needed to vocalize. Thank you. And we're going to leave here today and we're going to continue to do the work for this community. Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem, Your stomach has been growling this whole meeting. I hope that you get some food. But thank you so much for your commitment and for your passion and your drive for this community. Dan, you have really led us through this budget process. So thank you. And Jeremy, you as well. With that being said, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion in 2 seconds. All in favor? 1 second. Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.
Humbly. Good job, man. Good job. You did. That was a good speech. I didn't know how to have